3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Welcome to ASD Market Week's YouTube series, Retail Revelations Inside the Deal. This is your all-access pass to the world of buying and selling in the retail space. We're getting candid and having real conversations on what it takes to get the deal done. This is Retail Revelations Inside the Deal. Hello and welcome to Retail Revelations Inside the Deal. My name's Stephanie Baring-Healy, and today we've got a treat. We've got the king of closeout. He also has an incredibly long title, Seth Marks, Senior Vice President and Extreme Value Sourcing from Big Lots. Seth, welcome to the show.
Yay! First, great to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And the king of closeouts is the greatest thing I've ever been called, possibly. But I think there's a lot of other people deserving of that crown.
Well, I had to do extra because I think, if I saw it right, is this your 1-year anniversary at Big Lots?
It is. It is.
Congrats!
Thank you. Yes. Second time here.
So good. Well, you're sporting your hat, and we're going to dig deep because I got a lot of questions for you. I'm going to put you on the spot. But first, I want people to know a little bit more about you. Let us know how you came to be at Big Lots.
How long is this show?
You got to be short and sweet, Seth.
I just went to a Sabrina Carpenter concert. That was her. It was all about short and sweet, by the way. So it was awesome. So I grew up in the closeout business. My grandpa was a closeout wholesaler. My father was a closeout wholesaler. They were actually the first ones to ever exhibit at the Army Surplus Show. Not a lot of people know. Used to be called the Army Surplus Show. Shout out ASD, now called the Associated, what is it? The Associated Dealers?
Well, now it's affordable shopping destination, so we're a little bit more inclusive.
No, so it's the greatest trade, by the way. Like that trade show afforded me such I grew up, they were successful. They had a great closeout wholesale, 3 generations I was in, the 3rd generation. And by the time I was there, the ASD, my grandpa brought like toys and tools and kitchen gadgets. He's like, what is this crazy guy doing with all this stuff that's not Army surplus? And, then he kept going to the show and others followed. And 60 years later, I'm at the company, and 3rd generation is tough in a family business. And so I decided to spread my wings, and I left and became a liquidator at a company called Hilco Global. They do a tremendous amount of they're a world-class liquidation firm, plays in all asset classes. When I got there, we were liquidating Montgomery Wards. And in these liquidation sales, there's this, you only get 90 days to close. By the way, greatest education ever is, guess what? Guess what, merchant America? Everything sells in 90 days. Doesn't matter what it is. You only get 90 days to sell it in those retail boxes. So you got to model out the price. If you're going to try to buy it, you better be right. Those are some big bets you're making. It could be billions of dollars. It could be tens of millions, depending how big the retailer is. And so we also augment, they call it, we bring our own inventory. The only thing that's more pressure is when you're the buyer that has to sell through it, and you got to make money. You got to buy it, right? So you can sell it profitably in 90 days. So I went from a family business into the highest stakes game of closeout betting in the world. So we're the Montgomery Wards augment. I was using the relationships my grandfather had with vendors, my dad, unbelievable relationships. The whole game, as you know, Stephanie, is what you're amazing at, by the way, as the head.
Thank you.
Because you bring in the ASD show. I know you have an amazing team, but you guys bring in the best in closeouts in the world, unequivocally in North America, the best exhibitors, incredible buyers. So you guys put on the best closeout show. Make a long story longer. When I went to Hilco, the judge denied the augment. And I had all this inventory, taking my grandpa's relationships and my dad's relationships, where you treat your partners in business like family. These people were at my bar mitzvah. And
Oh,
now I'm canceling orders on them because I didn't know anything. I thought when we said we got the augment, we got the augment. Well, the judge denied it. Back in many years ago, they thought augmenting into closing stores was misleading the consumer. Fast forward, by the way, it's highly accepted because it creates more dollars for the estate for the people that are owed money. The unsecured creditors and the secured creditors get a piece of that augment. So it's like every retail closing has an augment. But I had all of those relationships and I had to cancel those orders.
oh,
And instead of canceling them, I sold it all to Big Lots in
oh.
2001. Did that for 3 years, for almost 4 years at Hilco, became a very meaningful vendor. They're like, where do you get this stuff? Can you come work here? So this is how Saul Shank, our founder, used to run the business, used to do these crazy deals, didn't matter what category they were in, and he gave us answers in 24 hours. So we built that muscle at Big Lots 20 years ago. I joined Big Lots, created a division called Big Lots Capital. I still have the brochure, by the way. Here it is.
Oh, look at that, you fancy.
Maximize asset recovery, realize end user value. Big Lots Capital, your perfect strategic partner. Actually had an office in Chicago at that time and Columbus, LA, and New York. Big Lots Capital. We crushed it. We freaking crushed it. We dominated the closeout industry. I got recruited out of there to be a CEO of a company in Canada that called Liquidation World. It was a rundown, they went public, owners left, they forgot how to buy. Everywhere I've been, it's like, I call it the founder's dilemma, where you're 5 degrees separated from the founder. And now you're running the company off a spreadsheet and you're not touching and feeling and smelling the merchandise and making sure the value's there. And you got to have that surprise and delight and that green lettuce of newness coming in every week. There's not a lot of these guys that do this stuff.
It's like a unicorn. It's rare.
It's so, you just go to the highest bidder every year. But I was recruited back to Hilco to take my boss's job, and I was recruited back to Big Lots to take my boss's job. So those are like my best reference points, is I got recruited back to 2 places twice. And this is where I want to retire. This is, if you do what we do, everyone in that ASD community knows when you play the closeout game, it's like, if you're a baseball player, you want to play for the LA Dodgers, World Series champions. As a closeout guy, you want to play for Big Lots. And this is and then the opportunity to help transform it and turn it around, because we lost our way in the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, getting back into the game. We're going through a restructuring. I mean, there's so much to unpack here, but I say to my 3 adult children, don't let your work define you, because don't do as I say, not as I do. My work defines me. I have no work-life balance. I love this business. I could talk to you all night about it.
I love it. It's so interesting because you were probably there. So my husband is a huge Padre fan. And about 10 or 11 years ago, we were at a Big Lots and it was seasonal shopping. It was almost Christmas time. And he found these 2 figurines, these Padre figurines where Santa had the hat on and everything. We bought them up so quick and we still have them today, but it was so fascinating because it was only $10 to buy them, but it meant so much to us. So I want to go into you touching, feeling, sourcing, strategically getting that merchandise and finding those gems and that treasure that make people like me so excited and happy. So how do you do it? What's that world like with your title and how you find products?
I mean, that's like Coca-Cola giving you the recipe.
Yeah.
I get pings on LinkedIn for consulting on liquidation work, asset disposition work, off-price work, closeout work. We'll pay you $300 an hour. I'm like, there's no price. There's no price. It's literally, the secret sauce is how you source.
Mm-hmm.
One of the great ways to do it is go to the ASD show, right?
That's right.
Develop relationships. There's a lot of people there that have their head on a swivel. Like if I didn't get it, I go to the ASD show to see the deals I missed, number one. And I also go to the ASD show to build relationships, because there's nothing better than when you can commit. We don't need 36 weeks of supply. But if one of those vendors as a distribution center can feed it to us so we can manage our liquidity better. And then what we're learning with great wholesalers like Bazaar, who's at your show, Brad Bardick, Bruce Shapiro, that team, they'll sticker it for you. So when you get it, it's retail ready, which helps the cycle time. And I'm obsessed with turn and Jim Ray and all those metrics. Like, you want to keep the line moving. And the ASD community is incredible network of partners, that operative word partners, formerly known as vendors. And what are their core competencies? What are ours? I totally dodged the question on sourcing.
It's okay. That secret sauce, I'm going to let you keep that secret sauce. And it's so interesting because I think that you nailed it, because we have tried and true clientele that exhibit show after show, and they help guide buyers all the time. And they're just the best source because they want you to be successful, right?
Yes.
And so with that relationship building, I know that you have been at ASD as an exhibitor and also as a buyer. So do you have any fun stories from the past that you can share that are appropriate?
Yeah, I went, there was a period of time, nothing inappropriate. It was so focused. Other than that time at Rum Jungle, which was the hottest club at Mandalay Bay, and I was very, by the way, my maturity's never been one of my core competencies. Yeah. So that was fun. We'll leave it there. Is there an after dark version of this?
No.
Okay, I wasn't married, but anyways, so the best thing about the ASD show is you have whales. Like, I'll never forget. I was there. We bought a deal. It's from Avon, right? It's kind of a rough deal. It's not perfectly, you're talking the direct to consumer, right? Mail order type of packaging. I made a big bet because, you're buying something at 4 cents on the retail dollar. How can you lose? Well, when it's Avon and it's all in retail packaging, all of a sudden I'm sweating freaking bullets on this deal. And it was a meaningful wager. And I was on my own as a wholesaler at this. I was working for a private equity group called Talent Asset Management. And I was like, we got to bring this Avon deal to the ASD show, get a booth. And we were just buying deals, and this big equity shop was funding my deals transactionally. It was awesome. We bought Lava Lamp, actually sold it as a going concern. But make a long story short, I'm sweating bullets. I'm going to get fired from this private equity group. I bought it at 4 cents on the dollar. We get out there, we set it up. 10 buyers come in. That stuff, that we don't want that stuff. Now I'm like, holy, this is, my career's over. And one buyer, and I'm forever grateful to him. He's one of the great merchants. The greatest merchants understand value. Like, all these great companies are run by merchants that are still crushing it. Ocean State Jobbers, I'll give him a shout out. Mark Perlman is maybe one of the greatest living merchants around. He walked in with his buyers, bought them all in 4 seconds, and I was done with the show, and we weren't even a day in. And I was like, holy cow, Mark Perlman just bought all my inventory, Ocean State Jobbers. And fast forward, this is almost 20 years later. That was about 15 years ago, actually. But Mark Perlman is a legend. And there's a lot of those buyers at that show. You can hit grand slams at the ASD show.
Well, I love that you said it, because, it only takes one buyer to make your show. And I think that for a lot of new exhibitors, they get intimidated and they're like, oh, I don't know. And then it's like that one person just changes the fear around, and it's an awesome event for them.
One relationship can change the entire trajectory of your career.
That's right.
Totally agree with you. And so that is the place. It's like a convention. But
Yeah.
what's amazing is it's like, for merchants with ADD, like anyone in the closeout, you actually thrive if you have ADD. It's how many things can you chase at once, and then understand like the value of everything you're chasing. And you got to have a win list. What's important now, WIN, every day in the closeout. It's like, you're chasing deals all day long and sizing the prize and saying, see you later, $100,000 deal. Here's $1 million deal, right? So you're doing that every single day. And that's happening at that. There are people, I used to go when I was at Hilco twice with my 21-inch roller bag. You guys frown upon this. And I'd have a hotel.
We do.
I don't do it. We don't do it anymore. I don't do that. But I'd have like $20 million in inventory in my 21-inch roller bag with 4 or 5 samples and try to sell stuff in the aisles.
Oh, Seth.
Sorry, but
so much better when you have a booth. I'm just saying.
The booth saved my career.
Well, you know what I think also does? You have incredible energy. You just, every time I see you, you're animated, you're full of life. You were Austin Powers, I believe, at Halloween, which was incredible. And if anyone hasn't seen that picture, they need to. But I found a quote, and I don't know if you took it from a favorite person or if it's from your own amazing mind, but you said a thriving business isn't built in a day, it's built every day. And I think you're relentless. You're absolutely relentless on how you approach this industry with love and energy. So talk to us about leadership and how you keep that energy going.
Provide help, ask for help. I'm not afraid to ask for help. And I know what I don't know. So like, be intellectually honest with yourself. Like, we got to introspectively. I wasn't always like this. So it's continuous improvement in that. So it's every single day, trying to win that day one at a time in business, and surrounding yourself. I have great mentors. My grandfather and my father were incredible mentors. My grandfather taught me the most important thing. He used to say, and he was completely out of balance like me, and this is where I learned it. Like, his whole world revolved around his business. He started it. You've so many of those family businesses at the ASD community. Just a different level of connection when you're working with small mid-America family businesses. And I grew up in one. And so I take it personally, everything we do. And so my eyes are open. It's horrible. It almost cost me my marriage. I can't turn it off. The only time I can turn it off is when I'm sleeping. And so long time ago, what my grandpa said was, if you want to make a success of yourself, you're not going to have time for your family. Not great advice.
No.
So you need to make the people you work with your family. And so I almost lost my marriage because I put more focus on my work. And then I had to get in balance. I had to ask for help personally. So I got, just being fully vulnerable. Shout out Renee Brown here. I had to get some therapy to get it back to balance and work on my personal life, because it's hard. I think anybody that will tell you, and I'm sure you go through this as a mom, an alpha mom, baller, career woman, and a wife, you can't be 100. You can't be the 100% the best dad, 100% the best husband, and 100% something's going to give. And one of those, and I never wanted to give on my business, is that because I saw how hard my grandpa worked and my dad worked. And, that was a little bit of that Archie Bunker generation, which is whacked. Yeah. So I had to delayer. So when you see me, we're in a work environment. So if we're talking about, I don't love to talk about a lot of things, but what the things I love to talk about, I can't shut up. And so the closeout off-price industry is in my blood. It's a passion. I love talking about it. The Chicago Bears, grew up on them, from Chicago. Love talking about it. Michael Jordan era Bulls, I love talking about it. It's about it. It's literally about it.
It's interesting because I think that what you invest in your team and your workspace, it's so important that if everyone took a step back a little bit, they could have more balance. But I think that you investing in a good team probably gives you some breathing room, which is nice. And I think that that's what most companies try to do. They try to create a family-like atmosphere where everyone's protecting each other. And they say, you know what, turn it off, go home and do your thing. Be a dad, be a mom, be a fur baby owner, but we've got you.
Yes. I think that as I've evolved, because it's a marathon, right? It's a marathon. To your point, it's an emotional endurance marathon. And so I think balancing, that's a great call, Stephanie. Like the team, I actually have guys that work with me, that this is the fourth company we've worked together at, that, you know, it's like any great, I mean, I think the Rolling Stones, right? You'd see those guys are pretty damn good. When they break off on their own, they're not as good. And you just see that in sports. You see it. It's more transparent. Sports is served to us. When the teams break up, they're not, you know. So I have guys that have been with me. They're data science, finance guys that I've taught and mentored into deal makers, or in finding the art of the possible, the way to, you know, yes is the answer. What's the inventory?
Yeah.
Right? Because everything sells in 90 days. And so this is what you're asking us for, but here's what I'm going to come back to you and say what I could pay for it, because I've never met an inventory that doesn't sell in 90 days. So it all has a value. It just needs to be functional and quality. And if it passes that, and by the way, a lot of stuff doesn't pass that, right? You just got to be a quality piece that's functional.
So what's your favorite thing to buy? Like when you hit a floor, what's that one thing? Is it just the closeout? Is it the art of the deal? Or is it something, what just gets you excited and super happy?
The shit that turns the fastest.
Ugh.
Right? So like, sorry for the, are we allowed to speak openly like that? Right?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. So consumables and grocery, those are the most coveted because it does turn the fastest. It creates more frequency of visits. It's very sticky, great customer retention, incredible attachment rates to the basket. You do the analytics. Someone who buys a thrower or a deck pillow actually has 6 things from grocery and consumables in there, right? So they're coming in sometimes for our incredible. We're like one of the greatest off-price furniture players, by the way. That's one thing we're really good at. Really, really good at off-price furniture. So you come in for that, and the next thing you know, they're buying. But now you're coming in for consumables more often in grocery. So I love consumable and grocery deals. But then you do like crazy liquidation deals that behave like it's a consumable or grocery deal because the price is so smoking hot. We had one of the highest. We bought a deal that had ukuleles in it, and the buyer's like, "We can't sell ukuleles." They're like, "Everything has a price." So we sold the poop out of ukuleles within like 3 weeks, gone, because we priced it 70 off of what the lowest price on the street was. We went another 70 below that. And guess what? Music people talk through social media and whatever. Big Lots has ukuleles for $29.99. Music teachers, then they're buying multiples. Next thing you know, we were done with ukuleles. What's amazing since the last time I was here, Stephanie, is this whole social sharing and digital. Holy moly. So if you got a great deal, great deals travel fast organically.
Nailed it. And you know, you guys have a great social channel. I follow it all the time. And I think you said it best, upsizing that basket for the consumer makes it so convenient where if all of a sudden I get my basic goods from the grocery side and then I walk past and you have outdoor furniture and I just happen to see that this is amazing and it's priced right, I'm going to pick it all up because I'm already there and I'm enchanted. I'm already engrossed with it.
That's it. That's the treasure hunt. That's the epitome of the treasure hunt. You are the beachfront property. It's that alpha mom that is coming to buy, not just to shop, because their time is super valuable. And if you see that patio set, and we triggered the dopamine FOMO hit, where you're like, well, that might not be here. I'm going to send a picture to my husband right now and text him, or I'm going to FaceTime him. That is when you see that happening in our stores now, because you got all these great deals flying in here now, not literally on the road, but you see it. The cell phone, I call it the cell phone deal, where you have Stephanie, the alpha mom, who came in to get some bath tissue, some bottled water, and laundry detergent because it's all below Walmart now. Big Lots is back. And then you see that patio set that's normally $1,200 for $299, and it might be brown Jordan, which is like all over. That's the patio sets the housewives use.
Housewives? Oh, wait, are you married to a housewife?
I wanted to just run right by that, but yes, I am.
You brought it up. I didn't know.
No, it's great. You know what? I have fun with it. She makes me better. We've been together for 30 years.
Amazing.
When I met her, she was in law school and getting her MBA at Kellogg. And I was working she asked me on the first date what I did for a living.
What'd you say?
I said I was an international trader.
Oh.
And she said, which is what I love, she said, that's rather ambiguous. Do you care to expand? And I was like, oh, no one's ever double clicked on that question as I've been, I was single and dating. I'm an international trader. I got second row center court, Chicago Bulls tickets. Everyone wanted to go. It was an easy lure. And Michael Jordan in the peak. So she came to a Bulls game. It's the only Bulls game I ever went to. I don't remember a thing because I was mesmerized by her. And she was just asking really intelligent questions. And she makes me better. And fast forward 25 years later, she's a businesswoman. She didn't practice law, is a designer, and was approached by some television producers. They didn't tell her it was a Housewives show. They said it's female entrepreneurs of Utah. She has a boutique on Main Street in Utah called Meredith Marks. And she designs a lot of things and did some real estate development, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, those will be good for my brand. Female entrepreneurs of Utah. Meanwhile, our marriage is falling apart, right? So when this is all happening, and I'm giving you a long backdrop. So she does it. We don't know where our marriage is falling apart, and we're trying to work on it. And she says, "Hey, you know what? That show that we did that sizzle reel for, they call it, it's actually Housewives of Salt Lake City." And we had never watched Housewives at that point in our lives. Like, if it, I'm an ESPN guy. So we decided that it would be good for her brand. All these impressions, and Bravo's this amazing network. You could just see the commercials, Target, Mercedes, Walmart, BMW. It's like, so it's the best brands advertising. And then you're on a show. It's great for your brand. And we didn't know what we signed up for. Marriage is hanging by a thread. 5 years later, we're still on it. We've restored our marriage. Never thought I'd say a reality show would be good for it, but it's like usually breaks them, I've heard. And what it's done is just made us more aware, like, of it's almost like a golfer has his golf swing videoed and analyzed, but we're getting it videoed and analyzed 24/7, 365, that now we don't need it video and analyzed. Like, our tissue's connected again. And I don't even know how we got down this road, Stephanie, but like,
it's interesting though, because just like your marriage, right? You fought for it. You guys went through your ups and downs, but you fought for it. And I think that going back to the market currently, there's a lot of scared people, right? And there's a lot of nervous people, but there's holidays coming up. There's always something positive to like look forward to. So what's your advice for whether you sell something, purchasing something? What's your advice moving into 2025?
From a merchant trading standpoint? I mean, just what I would say, the tariffs on the horizon are a little, like, that's I hope that's just a bunch of chatter and talk.
Yeah.
But those tariffs that could really hurt a lot of our community in the ASD world. We have a lot of great traders that design to value, can basically manufacture things to, engineer. We call it engineered closeouts. So it would really hurt the math for us. When I say us, the vendors, Big Lots, everyone in your world and ours. So that's scary. So I think at this juncture, and you're in the off-price business, you guys say commodity, not commodity. Is this something I want to just crank the gas and buy every piece? Is this something I stay away from? But now's the time to look for commodity deals, like basic items that is a French Burgundy. And if I'm buying it right, I don't care how long it takes me to sell it, because I know I'm going to get a great return on it. And so that's a wholesale mindset. But I think you got to turn on is this a commodity? Is this going to have demand 2 years from now? Or is this thing fading away like a cell phone accessory and don't touch it at any cost? Right. So buyers need to think that way, and don't be afraid. If I'm on, like, don't be afraid to pounce. Like it's the art of the pounce. Don't leave anything on the table if it's a good deal. Buy the whole enchilada.
I love that. And something that I think that they should also be doing is following your Instagram. I want to go over to that because, again, we talked about energy and keeping it positive, and you've got, let's see, what note to younger self. And you just have these quick little check-ins. It's like everything's going to be okay. And so how did you develop that? What's the story behind that?
Thank you so much for asking. When I was at overstock.com, head of strategy and merchandising, marriage was hanging by a thread. My kids weren't listening to me anymore. They were like, at that time, I want to say 17, 15, and 13. And that's the one I didn't listen. I knew I didn't listen to my parents at that age. I was like, I got it all now. Thanks. You don't know squat. So I was like, I see they're on this thing called Instagram. And I said, well, I'm just going to say note to younger self in invisible ink. It's like, hey kids, listen to your dad. I've had my teeth kicked in. These are the trials and tribulations of my journey. At that point, I'm in my young 40s, and I wish my dad would tell me this shit.
Yeah.
So that was what note younger self became. And I had 5 followers, and it was my 3 kids, my wife, and one of my buddies. And, so I just kept doing it. Like, it would happen at any point of the day. If something like, I'd say like, note to younger self, I've never been hurt by something I didn't say. So watch what you say before you say it. Everything you say could come back, could hurt somebody, whatever, right? So just watch what you say. Note to younger self, and then I'd put like a meme up that says, I've never been hurt by anything I didn't say, right? So be choiceful with your words. I learned that I got crushed by shit I said, right? It's like, stop speaking from the wrong part of your body and think about what you're saying. So that was like a note to younger self. And those light bulbs go off every single day for me. I try to like almost come up with a new mantra when I get out of bed. I was like, let's go. Like, you want to fire yourself up. So I projected. So it started, by the way, just projecting to my children. Next thing you know, fast forward, my wife's a housewife. And so she's got like 600,000 followers.
Yeah.
And like, what does her husband do? Right. And then, so people that watch that show, so like, I'm going to, this guy, this deal guy,
well, I'm going to steal your idea because I think it's brilliant. And my kids are just becoming that age where
let's collaborate.
They got a side eye coming my way. And I'm like, do you want to learn math? And so we're at that phase where, they have their little opinions and their minds forming. And I'm just like, this is a brilliant idea that Seth did.
We should collaborate because you're, I think we follow each other on Instagram, right?
Oh, I like you all the time. Like, yes.
What's your Instagram? What's your Instagram?
I'm not telling you live.
Give a promo for your Instagram. What's your Instagram?
My name.
And you pronounced it at the beginning of the show. It's what? Can you?
Stephanie Barron Healy.
Barron Healy.
Mrs. B.
Mrs. B. And
can be
by the way, the reason it's Seth Stock, that's my Instagram handle.
Oh.
Is because I was at Overstock when that started. And that's what brought me to Utah, by the way, and fell in love with Utah and basically, stayed. We go in and out of there, in and out of there, in and out of there.
Well, okay. So question, because you leave because you go to work at Big Lots, right? So you're always traveling. I think that, Big Lots has been in the news a lot lately, and I don't like headlines because I feel like somebody else puts words, and I'd much rather hear from the source and say, here's what we're bullish about. Here's what we're excited about. Here's what we're doing. So I want to hear from you, Seth Marks. What's happening at Big Lots and why should everyone be super excited? Give us the lowdown.
I feel like we should go to episode 2 now.
Yeah.
So the Big Lots turnaround, right? Like, so that I knew what I was signing up for. The chief human resources officer here, I was here when I was here the first time, had a great relationship with him, and following Big Lots for 30 years, either as a vendor or somebody inside here 20 years ago. I've been following the company. I knew this is not an easy turnaround, but it's an easy turnaround, right? Like the lift is heavy, but it's so fundamental and simple in the sense of what we have to do is just get back to what we always did. We're not recreating anything. We're just going back to what we did. And so there's never been an off-price retailer that's been merchant-led that's gone out of business. And as a Hilco 2-time guy, we liquidate businesses. Never seen an off-price retailer that's merchant-led go out of business. We are merchant-led. We've transformed that. The merchants, I report into our CEO. So like he's driving like the transformation. We have 2 other great merchants here that have tons of great ones, but there's 3 that drive it. And I'm one of them. And my purview is overall the extreme value, which is this alternative procurement, the secret sauce. And so bringing that in and sharing it and getting it in throughout the organization. And then I'm also over the food and consumables business, which just one more turn in that is like for us, like 200, almost 250 million, just for one more turn. 2 more turns, $500 million. And by the way, we don't turn it like what we used to turn it at is up here, what we're turning at now. So I'm not gonna give you the numbers, but if we just get here, the whole thing turns around. It's just in food and consumables. And we're seeing amazing trend we call green shoots. Like our inventory's never worked harder for us. We had a lot of credit constraints when we went into, all this is public information. I'm not saying anything, I'm just giving more color to it.
Yeah.
We ran a process as we needed more capital to continue the transformation work. So we hired an investment bank. Investment bank goes and runs a process. Everybody and anybody that's interested in potentially acquiring us, as we transition ownership, a lot of strategics, private equity. We have this incredible partner, Nexus Capital Management. Has got really good experience, and you got guys that were at Apollo, like the guys that started Apollo owns the Washington football team. Those guys, all they do is win. All Nexus does is win. And so you bring in winners that look at this business and they see the data. Like they're so sharp in the ability to run the trends and predictively analyze if these green shoots continue, what happened. So this is like any sophisticated, forward-looking, understand data buyer like Nexus. Wow, we're going to continue this transformation. But let's take it through a restructuring period called Chapter 11, because we announced publicly that 70% of our stores were 4-wall profitable, even in our headwinds, and 30% of our stores were losing money. So any strategic buyer is going to say, let's bring it into a restructuring so we don't have to carry those net 30% of the stores that are losing money, and we can come out or renegotiate with the landlords we don't want, if they want to readjust the lease so we can instantly make it profitable, we'll stay, right? And by the way, that's happening. That's beautiful. So we come out with all profitable stores, 4-wall profitable from what it was going in, and our partners, our vendors, our lifeline, our bud that have been working with us inside this restructuring window. We have great partners that continue to get us the competitively priced inventory. And that's the transformation where we're is getting our inventory more customer choices, more breadth, less depth. Every single thing in the 4-wall from a customer experience is competitively priced. We like to try to be the lowest price on the street. That's our obsession, and we're delivering it. And when you start delivering that, now you just need to build your inventory back because you're buying more productive inventory. So this transformation is happening. Nexus Capital Management is our partner. The goal now is you come out of bankruptcy like Express Stores and Joann's. And, this is a normal, the restructuring world. A lot of times these companies don't have a buyer going into a Chapter 11. And then there's this quick sales process, and you can't get a buyer educated and confident fast enough in that fast process. And so the liquidators end up evaporating these companies. A lot of them go in with a heartbeat. but they don't have a buyer going in. So our heart was, I mean, we got a healthy heart here now. We've dusted ourselves off, and we got a buyer to come in, and we're going to come out, and we're going to have the greatest retail turnaround that, we've ever seen.
Well, you had done a post on LinkedIn, I think, and the response level was so good. And I think that you had people in the background just cheering, because I think that stores close down all the time, especially when they're in underperforming areas. That is part of the business model. It's a healthy thing to look at it and say, that spot doesn't work for us, but this one's more optimal for us. So let's move that direction. And next is Capital. Once I heard that, I was like, ooh, they did the Dollar Shave Club, and that's fun. So I think the industry is so excited for Big Lots, and we're so excited for the next chapter. So I'm hoping that I get to see you and your whole team in March for ASD.
Yeah, for sure. You cannot be in the closeout business or off price, extreme value, whatever you want to call it, and not attend it. If you don't attend that show, and I'm being totally honest, like, I'm sure you got that by now. Like, as I got older, that's another note to younger self. There is no true self without being authentic. And there is nothing that can be sustainable without authenticity. So like I come across a little maybe raw and aggressive, but it's authentic. I can promise you that. And if you're not at the ASD show, you're not really in the closeout off-price business. And people think they're above that show. It drives me freaking crazy, right? You should see who attend. You've got the best retailers in off-price in the world. I've worked with people from Dubai at that show as a wholesaler, right? Like, it's crazy. And oh, by the way, like, oh, what's your role? I own the company, or I'm the senior vice president, or like, oh, so you're like totally merchant led, and you're sniping great deals and building relationships at the ASD show. You got to get to that show.
And we're excited. I think that for us, we're so inclusive. We offer the show to everyone. All we ever want to do is educate, inform, introduce, and make it so it's conducive for people to do business. We want people to do education at the booth, where they can build those relationships, talk about the industry, showcase really awesome product, and just have a good time.
And how you must have the greatest vendor retention rate in the history of trade shows. Like, I know when our family business, we were there from the time it started until the business was sold and financially led, and then it went bye.
Yeah. We have separation anxiety. We don't let people leave. We're like, come back.
How many shows has Danny Cole and the whole Cole Mafia been there?
I think 40 years. So him and Regent, you talked about Bazaar, CSS. I mean, we've just got a good squad. Omaha.
Mike the Godfather. He's Mike DePaul. I mean, the quality of the people are incredible at that show.
It's what makes the show. It's the people.
It is. That's what I would say to anybody who hasn't been there. That full circle, one relationship can change the entire trajectory of your career. And as a wholesaler, it could be one customer. If we lock in with somebody with 900 doors, all of a sudden we're doing 18 million with you, as we met you at the ASD show, like, that changes lives. I've been on both sides of the table. Mark Perlman buying me out of my Avon deal changed my life. Next thing you know, that equity fund was like, we want you to be the CEO of this retailer in Canada, and we're going to buy this retailer in Canada, and all because Mark Perlman made me look really good.
Well, I'm going to end it on one final note. Final thoughts within the closeout and extreme value sector. What do you think is in store for all of us in terms of not the market or anything, but what can we expect, do you think, in the future?
Well, the closeout merchants, the extreme value merchants, are the most resilient merchants on the planet. It's a different breed. When PP&E and the pandemic hit, Stephanie, this is crazy. When the world shut down, who were the merchants that the government had to legislate the pricing that was going on? Because these ASD merchants, and I was one of them, I was chasing down masks and hand sanitizer. It was amazing, because it's that agility and ability that ASD type merchant has to identify value and pounce and control the deal is incredible. And so I just say, don't keep your nose on the wire, right? The wire is anything disruptive creates opportunity, and don't be afraid. The most successful people in this business I've ever met have incredible instincts, and they don't let the spreadsheet diminish their instincts. And so I would say, and this is so true in life, your intuition and your instincts, and the more experience you would get, the more you could trust that. And I'd say I'm 9 for 10 on my intuition and my instincts in business now. And by the way, the 10 haunt me every day. The losses hurt more than the wins, but 9 for 10, trust your instincts. So I would just say pounce. Don't be afraid. Your whole career can change. Reach out. We'll try to help you. Like, fund the deal, find a way to it, model it out, show the value. There's no way you won't find a partner to help you fund it. A lot of these companies don't need a partner. Just pounce on the deals. Don't hold back. But that's how you go next level. Is you've now been playing at that blackjack table with $5 chips. Let's get to the $100 table. It's the same fundamentals. Play bigger.
Great advice. And that is a perfect way to end this episode. So Seth, thanks for taking the time to join us. We're so excited for the next chapter of Big Lots, and we'll be watching you.
We want you to be a part of the show, so let us know who you want to see and what stories you want to hear. Leave us a comment and make sure you like and subscribe.